Hi everyone, welcome back to Let's Play Dwarf Fortress. I am Sir Tristan and we are going to cover something a little out of game. Well, it's in the game, but it's not a game mechanic. I've had a few different requests to cover some tile sets and to maybe change up how my game looks. So I want to go ahead and do that now. Cover the different tile sets, see what they all look like. If you guys want to vote in the comments below or just mention, hey, I like this, could you play with this? Then I'll definitely do that. I'll probably change it up as I go throughout this series. I don't want to change it up too much because that can just get kind of confusing for people. But I wanted to at least go over them today to show you what the options are. So, by default, I think by default you get Iron Hand, but I've switched it to Obsidian, and that's what I've been playing with since the first episode. And as you can see, this is focused on a stylized medieval feel. Obsidian is a beautiful example of pixel art at its best. And I like this tile set quite a lot. The colors are a bit muted, but you can kind of easily see what everything is. There's clearly a barrel here at the wagon. That's clearly a dwarf with a pick. That looks like a dwarf in overall, so he's probably some kind of... Oh, he's the mason. That's Sid, our mason. If we go down here, you can kind of clearly see there's a barrel, and it looks like sand, I guess. It's probably just a part of the still that we've made. Go down again, you have people planting the farm. Up and down arrows for the ramps, and the X's for the stairs. And these things, I guess, could look like beds. If you were to zoom in on them, you could kind of see they got a bed-like type feel. And then doors. You've seen Obsidian quite a lot. Zoom back out here. So I think what I'll do is I'll just kind of go through and we will save the game to exit. It has to save it each time. I've actually never talked about exiting before, now that I think about it. So maybe we'll talk about that during one of these saves and exit. Each time you want to exit the game, there's a few different options. Saving the game is how you basically exit regularly. You can't. You have to kind of save before you exit. I guess you could Alt F4. Well, actually, Alt F4 doesn't work. It's been disabled. I guess you could open the Control Manager, the Windows Manager. All right, go ahead and quit. There we go. So let's pick. Let's go up to. Let's see. So ASCII default is the default. CLA says a high-resolution square ASCII set with character-based sprite. I'm going to skip all the ASCII ones because I don't like that at all. Gem set 24 pick is a colorful, sharp, and crystal clear gem set. Uses a beautiful ASCII tile set. These are all ASCII, and I don't feel like they're very useful compared to the other tile sets. So we'll just cover now Iron Hand, Mayday, Phoebus, and Space Fox. So Iron Hand says less stylized than other packs and a little gritty. Iron Hand has an enduring popularity. So we'll go ahead and install that graphic set. We'll say yes. It's going to install. Takes a little while. And it always says, would you like to update your save games to properly use the new tile set? You have to say yes if you want your existing games to update. So there you go, 2 save games updated. So we'll go ahead and launch Dwarf Fortress. And actually, why don't I go ahead and turn off. Let's go to True Type Fix Off. That way you can actually see the text that comes with the game as well. Some people like that. Whoops. Nope, I actually did the wrong thing, didn't I? Turn that back on. And go to print mode. We want this to be standard. There we go. So now when we have Iron Hand on, oops, the text here, yeah. So now as you can see, our text is not the default text. It's actually the it's the Iron Hand text pack as well. So we'll do continue playing. And you can see the text is a bit bigger. The colors or the letters themselves are thicker. Alright, there we go. This is Iron Hand. Alright, Iron Hand? Yes, Iron Hand. Colors are a bit brighter, but for the most part there's not that much difference in what we're seeing. The colors are still somewhat slightly muted, I suppose. If you were to zoom in on the wagon, you can still see there are some barrels. There's a dwarf with a pick sort of in his hand there. Looks like some birds of some kind. There's Sid, our mason. You head down and you got our stairs still. Those are still kind of the same. Go down a level. And zoom out a bit so you can see. Oops, too much. You can kind of see just everything's a bit thicker. The X's are larger. The arrows, I guess these are actually a bit smaller than before. They kind of have a gradient effect to them now to where they fade down. Kind of makes it easier to see, oh look, I'm traveling down, you know, using a little gradient there. The beds are less blocky. There's obviously a lot more things that I could have installed to show you this, but we got our dwarves here planting our crops. And the X's are still there, but they're a bit thicker. So, text here, again, is a bit larger. I don't see any of that overlap, however, where, you know, you're seeing effects like gravestones and things like that as your O's, or I'm looking for like a period or something to show some kind of punctuation, but I don't really see it. I guess the dashes are still sharing a little icon. I'm not sure what that's really used for. It's like a single dash, you know, with the little background there, but it works really well as a dash. I actually like this tile set a lot. It looks pretty good. Let's see what else can we look at. Oh, we can look at the ocean. Unpause it here briefly. Look at the river. Not too much is different really. This tile set looks pretty similar. You can still make out the individual, if I hit K and move my cursor here, you got the ryegrass, the bent grass, and there's these darker green and the lighter green. So that actually could be a little confusing, I guess. The other tile sets, some of the other tile sets don't really do that. They'll have like a single color for all the grass. We'll see that here in a little bit. But yeah, I guess the colors are going to be a bit brighter here. Some of the stuff's a bit washed out, like paused here, right? It's actually kind of a little washed out. It's kind of hard to read the paused text here. I mean, you know what it's going to say, because it's always going to say paused up there, but there's Iron Hand, so let's go ahead and escape. And yeah, so let me look at these options real fast. There's save game, retire the fortress for the time being, or abandon the fortress to ruin. Save game is the only legitimate way to exit. If you do abandon the fortress to ruin, basically you lose all the progress for that. Well, you don't lose the progress for that fortress, but all the characters there, all the items, all the time you spent there is basically gone. You'll be sent back to the main menu, and you'll be told to, you know, start a new fortress or start an adventure mode. You can't return to that fortress the same way it was. Now it actually advances the world clock a little bit as well, so you could do some interesting things. Your fortress still exists in place where it is, so you could return there as an adventurer, or you could reclaim that fortress and start again, but that fortress would still exist. Alright, let's look at Mayday. Mike Mayday made one of the first graphic packs for DF. Many people still enjoy his distinctive art style, so let's install these graphics. And then we'll need to update the save games as well. That's done. Let's go ahead and launch. Oh, whoops. I'm going to have to do that each time, aren't I? Turn the print mode, or it actually may be set per graphics pack. Let's see. No, I just need to set it each time, it looks like. Alright, so let's launch Mayday. Alright, and you can see the text here actually has a background to it. And the letters are spaced out a bit more than they have been in the previous packs. Alright. So this one is Mayday. Everything's quite a bit brighter. The sand has quite a bit of a different texture, a lot of whites kind of pasted into it. So it's a bit brighter, more distinct. Let's zoom in on the dwarves. There we go. You can see these actually look like turkeys, or hens do. Actually, let me press K. Are these hens? A turkey hen, yeah. So it looks like a turkey. That makes sense, right? We have a dwarf here. Lock, our miner. Doesn't really have a pick, so it's kind of hard to see that. Who's this? That's Sid. That's our mason up there. Now, kind of hard to see because my X is in the way. The dwarves aren't quite as distinctive in this, and everything's a bit brighter color, so I feel like they get lost a bit easier. Whoops, I went up a level instead of zooming out. So I feel like they get lost a bit easier. The ocean and the brook look pretty similar. Got the waves coming in, the water moving. I'll go down a level. Now this is all brighter. The unknown, what do you call this stuff? Oh, they don't really have a name for it. It's like the unknown, what I can't see area. It's pretty dark, or I mean pretty bright. And the walls are pretty bright as well. Everything is just brighter, I find it a bit hard to kind of read immediately what these things are, just because they overlap with the bright background. There's a lot of white being used in the floor, in the walls out here, in the unknown space, so it's just kind of hard to see. The roots, however, of trees are not nearly as obnoxious, which is nice. These are all the roots. They're not nearly as annoying, which is very nice. Go down a level, we can see, again, these are the plots, and the stairs. The stairs are a bit thinner as far as the X's go. Looks like our expedition leader is planting a seed. Come down here, and yep, there he goes. Anyway, that was Mayday, so we'll jump out now. We will save the game. And I actually don't know what abandon the fortress for now means. I don't know if that will keep the fortress intact and let you return to it in the future. I actually am going to look that up after I finish loading the new texture pack. See if the Dwarf Fortress Wiki has anything to say about that, because I'm actually not sure off the top of my head what that is meant for. And this save is taking a long time. I hope it doesn't crash or something. There we go. Okay, good. We'll go quit. We'll load up Phoebus. Phoebus is probably the best graphics pack for beginners. Neither stylized nor ornate, with a sprite for everything. So let's go ahead and install. We do want to update our save games as well. It looks like our print mode, did switch back to WBT, which is the true type fix. So we want to set it to standard so we can see what the graphics for the letters look like. So this one looks like it actually does have some interesting character overlaps here. The N and the O are actually going to be used for sprites at some point. The Z perhaps as well. And there you go, you can see in Zoza, the O is actually a pot of some kind. So there actually is going to be some overlap in this particular fort here. Alright. So this one is the Phoebus Style Set. Tile set, not style set. Well, I guess it is a style set as well, but it's also a tile set. Colors are brighter, just like before. The sand is pretty obvious with its kind of flowing nature there. The colors for the grass are bright, and the tiles for the grass are not as busy, I would say. The trees look very similar to I'm getting the names confused now. To Obsidian, the base Obsidian, with the kind of outer circle and the inner circle there. If we zoom in on our dwarves, let's take a look here, see what they look like. This guy's pretty clearly got a pick. This is obviously a dog of some kind. These hens are really obvious. Same thing, there's a cat. All of our individual grasses and plants are standing out. Let's go down a level. Oops, that was up a level. Go down a level. The unknown area is pretty much completely black, making the contrast with what we have dug out pretty clear, I would say. But the roots have kind of gone back to this kind of garbled looking brown kind of gross thing. The beds and the doors are very similar again to Obsidian, in that they're kind of blocky, but they kind of get the point across. A lot of this stuff is actually very similar. Looks like to Obsidian. Go down a level. We got our expedition leaders, got this kind of purplish hat on. Our farmer's got a pitchfork, which is pretty easy to tell. And our arrows are nice and big. Alright, so that was the Phoebus tile set. Let's actually go out and look at the last one. I'm gonna look up Retire the Fortress for the time being and actually see what that does. Retire Fortress. I'm not seeing anything. We can look at it here again in a little bit. The Dwarf Fortress is still trying to save off the world. Let's do Retire Fortress for the time being. I don't see anything specifically talking about retiring a fortress, so if anybody happens to know what that does, please let me know down in the comments. I would actually love to know. I didn't find a page for it or anything. Maybe a page needs to get added for retiring a fortress. So anyway, this is Space Fox. Clean, simple, and cheerful. Graphics with a style quite unlike the game. Highly distinctive, and like Phoebus, popular among new players. So we'll install it, update our saved games. Alright, and let's launch. Oops, I didn't fix the true type. Let me do that real fast. Alright, we're at standard. And as you can see already, that even the opening screen is quite a bit different. The background is actually kind of a gray instead of completely black. The letters are pretty small, but they're spaced out as well. And they combine some kind of higher not capitalized letters, but taller letters with shorter letters. So this is actually kind of combining several different styles of text all together. So let's load it up. Alright, well, as you can see, this is clearly the brightest tile set that we have. Everything is very bright. And distinctive, really. There's obviously no mistaking, what this lighter green and darker green grass is. The dwarves are pretty much just heads. We'll zoom in here a bit further. I mean, you can kind of see he's got a pickaxe and a mining helmet, but there's no body attached to this guy here. The chickens are pretty much the same as they have been in the last few tile sets. Same thing with the dogs. This guy, probably our carpenter. Yep. He has a saw in his hand here. This guy looks like he's got some kind of like a one of those things meant to kind of spread out. What do you call that stuff? I forget the name of it, but he looks like one of those masons. Go down a level. The X is real small for the stairs there, but the actual square is quite large. Down arrows are nice and set apart from anything else. The tree roots are not obnoxious at all, which I like quite a bit. And the space outside the dark space is not completely black. Again, it's kind of more of a gray. Go down a level. Next, this is going to be our expedition leader. No, this is our planter. He's got, looks like maybe a shovel, maybe like a little bag in his hand. The beds and the doors are very similar to the other tile sets. This is our carpenter, right? Carpenter's workshop. There's actually a little saw here. Maybe some chisels. Same thing, we got something similar with our mason's workshop here. So yeah. There's the Space Fox. Very bright. Keep going the wrong way. Okay, no. I need you to zoom out. Game. There we go. It did not like the fact that I was zoomed in. So yeah, we'll unpause it here. We'll see it in motion. It does look a bit more, not kitty, but definitely not as somber. It's not as dark. You know, the faces are all kind of large, kind of a anime style. That's not the right word, but definitely kind of a more lighthearted looking tile set. Anyway, I think that'll do it for this episode. I just wanted to cover those real briefly. If you guys have a particular set you want me to use, at least for the next couple episodes, let me know. Again, I'm gonna try not to change it up too much. I don't want it to be too confusing. But really, all these tile sets share enough similarities to where I think we could understand what's going on with each one. So if you have a specific preference, let me know. I'll use those for the next couple episodes when I continue to talk about more styles of food and things like that. Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me for this tile set preview. I'll see you next time.